Hello again, Chris Lee and Chase Robinson of Southeastern 16 here to preview and predict the outcome of South Carolina's road trip to Vanderbilt. You can catch this one 3:15 Central on the SEC Network. I'll be in the press box for it. South Carolina, a 3.5-point favorite with an over-under of 46, according to BetOnline, as of early Monday afternoon. That makes for a predicted final score of South Carolina 25, Vanderbilt 21. My model's got Carolina by even more, about 6.5 points. Chase, both teams coming off huge wins. Vanderbilt got a win at Auburn to get bowl eligible and take a lot of pressure off. South Carolina got an enormous win. Probably played as well as anybody in the country last week with a dismantling of Texas A&M by, I think, a 44-20 score.
Yeah, they did, and South Carolina looked good doing it. I mean, they're playing good football right now. Vanderbilt didn't have their best game against Auburn, but they pulled it out. They got the win, and so yeah, these are two teams coming off of big wins Saturday, and I'm really interested in this game to see kind of how the flow of this game could go.
Yeah, I am too. There's a lot of things that are interesting here that if it goes one way, it favors Vanderbilt. If it goes another way, it favors Carolina. Let's dive right into it. I believe we'll start with when Carolina's got the ball against Vanderbilt. Here are the numbers. Vanderbilt's defense has gotten better lately. I feel like both teams have kind of flipped the script. South Carolina was having a lot of trouble moving the ball earlier and also turning it over. You saw its best performance of the year against A&M when Rocket Sanders just ran wild. Lenore Sellers was terrific. Passing accuracy continues to be an issue with them, but, man, they make a lot of big plays, and he is such a headache to bring down with that combination of size, speed, and athleticism. Now, the problem for Carolina is it turns the ball over a decent amount because it gets sacked a ton. Almost a 14% rate against a Vanderbilt defense that'll bring some heat at times. I think this may be the pivotal edge of the matchup because I think if Carolina is rolling and can run with Sanders and company the way it has lately, the edge definitely tilts, but that's not always something you're sure is coming. Although, again, this is a team that's getting better, and Sellers, a first-year starter, who I think is looking more like a regular the longer the season goes.
Right, yeah. Rocket Sanders ran so well against A&M, and, yeah, if he keeps that up, then he could have a good day Saturday against Vanderbilt. I think anybody would have a hard time stopping Rocket Sanders the way he was running on Saturday, and so that would be an advantage of South Carolina if they can get the run game going, and if Lenore Sellers can play consistent. And going into that game last week, that's one of the things I said South Carolina needed to do was just be consistent offensively. And I think they were. If they can keep that up, then they're going to be in a lot of games. But that's been a problem this year. Sellers has just been kind of having to run for his life some and work on the fly. And that offensive line needs to protect him, give him some time to be consistent.
Yeah, part of Carolina's problem is that pass protection has led to fumbles. I think Carolina's had 8 or 9 of them, and that's the thing to watch out for. Vanderbilt does have some guys who can get after the passer. So I think just holding on to the ball against one of the best turnover margin teams in the country, a big key here. Chase, I'll have you flip to the other side of the matchup. While we're doing that, we remind you, BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the latest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch all the games as they happen. With the world's largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, NHL to entertainment and political props. Anything big going on in America this week, Chase?
I hadn't heard. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Head to BetOnline today. Get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here. Well, I'll bet you Vanderbilt needs to have a better performance out of its offense. The numbers here are, I'm not going to call them misleading because when Diego Pavia is well, they are a handful, especially on third down conversions. However, I think the cumulative beating that he has taken by having the ball in his hands so much as a passer who gets hit, after a throw, and just the constant ball carrying load have started to take a toll. I think neither he nor Sedrick Alexander, their starting tailback, looked 100% to me last week. Now, what they are doing is they're still not turning the ball over. You have to wrestle it out of their hands, which is unlikely, or you have to force a punt, which they did a lot of lately. So South Carolina has just been stout both ways. We know about that pass rush with Kennard and Stewart and all the playmakers. They've got Emmanwori, all those guys, and they force a lot of turnovers. But I think one thing that's interesting, this is a team that wins, that lives and dies by turnovers, and they're facing a team that's not playing well on offense right now and frankly needs a rest. But they just don't turn it over. 3 of Vanderbilt's 5 turnovers, I think, have been in the Texas game.
And that's incredible that they've been able to hold on to the football the way they have, especially when you've got a guy that is always running. You know, they're doing the kind of a form of the triple option. Like, things can go wrong, and they just haven't for Vanderbilt. They haven't turned the ball over, and I think that's remarkable that they've been able to do that and just be consistent like they are. But this South Carolina pass rush, we've talked about it. You mentioned Kennard and Stewart. They're incredible. What they've been able to do defensively, really strong this year. But Vanderbilt has gotten just about every team they've played off balance. And, you know, they're going to try to do that against South Carolina. How can the Gamecocks adjust to that and respond to that? But every team that has faced Vanderbilt, I feel like, has been off balance, and I'm interested to see if they're able to continue that trend against South Carolina and this good defense.
Yeah, Chase, it's an interesting one because, again, I think some of the numbers are valid, and then I think you've got a weakness for South Carolina, which is becoming a little bit more of a strength as the season progresses, and a weakness for Vanderbilt that's becoming a little bit more of a strength as their defense is playing better. And I do think turnovers will probably be the deciding factor.
Yep.
Let's get into picks. I'll start with you and why.
Yeah, this one's tough because Vanderbilt's been playing so good at home there in Nashville. But look, what I saw South Carolina do to Texas A&M showed me that South Carolina is for real if they can be consistent offensively. So I'm going to take South Carolina in this one. I think you can be close, but I'm going to take the Gamecocks.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. Vanderbilt's been really good at home despite having a home field disadvantage in the stands. That might flip a little bit for this game. I'm not entirely sure how it's going to look, but either way, they play well in that building. It's a team that the computers don't really like, and I think that's – I'm not going to say that's valid because I just think it's a team that does it in a different way. They're kind of an outlier, and like even last week, Vanderbilt went to Auburn, did not play well at all offensively, but man, they made plays just when it counted. And by the way, Vanderbilt, the better special teams unit in this one. Carolina's always really good, but Vanderbilt is one of the best in the country right now in all phases of the game. The only thing they don't do is really block kicks. But I think I'm a little concerned. I think that if it's turnover dependent, that could go either way. I think if it's straight up, Carolina's just a better team. The defense is better. Probably better athletes on offense too. And Pavia's health is really a concern for me too. I think he's got to get better. The bye week will help them next week. Here's the other thing. Carolina's won every game in this series, and they played every year, I think, since 2008. So just whatever the case is for Vanderbilt, that chicken curse has just got a grip on them. And that kind of spot when it's close, I kind of always pick the way it's gone until that streak gets snapped. And hey, by the way, Vandy, a team that has snapped some streaks this year. Ask Alabama and Auburn about that. Yeah. But I think I'm going to ride with the Gamecocks until Vanderbilt can get one. But who knows? I've got confidence on very little this week. But I'll tell you what, we'll be here to talk about it afterwards. Saturday night live stream, as we always do. You can catch up by hitting the subscribe and the like buttons and enabling your notification. We cover football, baseball, basketball year-round. Caroline.smith at southeastern14.com. If you'd like to advertise. For Chase Robinson, I'm Chris Lee. You've been watching Southeastern 16, presented by Bet Online.